Hi.
Hi. I like how we start episodes like we're not sitting in the same house together.
Yeah, I think that's really hilarious because we're definitely in the same place.
We're definitely like a couple of feet away from each other, but also I think it's kind of funny because our backgrounds are so different. We could be in very different places. I mean, it would be very plausible to believe that we were in different houses.
I think it is interesting. I think it's actually a really good analogy for our relationship, though. We in separate rooms in the same house.
Come on, analogy. Let's okay, don't start the episode. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Hold on. Let me get into the episode. This is episode 4 of season 8 of That Black Couple. I am drinking agua fresca.
As am I.
Yes. My agua is full of hielos, which is ice in Spanish. I don't know if you know that, but that's how
I
you say it in Spanish.
I knew that, and I would say what it is in Portuguese, but I have not gotten to that lesson yet.
Mi agua está llena de los hielos.
Okay. Okay.
It was in there somewhere.
I
Anyway,
believe you.
it was full of ice cubes. Anyway, have a seat. This is That Black Couple. I'm Jen.
And I'm Darren.
Before we get started, make sure you follow us on Threads. We are no longer on Twitter because Twitter is trash. You can also find us on Instagram at That BLK Couple. I said BLK Couple. Make sure you follow us on Threads and Instagram at That BLK Couple. On Facebook at That Black Couple, and look us up on the internet at thatblackcouple.com.
And you can stream our episodes everywhere you can stream podcast episodes. That would be Apple iTunes, it would be SoundCloud, and of course you can now find us illustriously on YouTube. If you really, really want to see how gorgeous and breathtaking we are, and why would you not want to see that? And I promise you, the visual element really does bring something new to these episodes. So if you're listening on one of those streaming platforms, jump over to the YouTube, subscribe, find us there, follow us there.
Yeah. And you can see my plants, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can see my elephants. Come on now. Come on now. You want to see these things.
You
So
do.
I'm excited about this episode because this is our anniversary episode. This episode, yes, come on now, is actually dropping on our anniversary, on our 19th wedding anniversary. Now, I am 40, you are 41. So, um, you are older than me. And so, you've been here longer. And so that 19 feels different for you. I'm much younger. And so 19 is a little, for me, is very fresh. Not for you, right? Right.
It's very fresh for you. That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
Very fresh. That couple of months. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So, I'm young and out here. You're oldie but goodie. But 19 years for most people who are older like yourself, it's a long time.
You'll be older like myself very shortly. So,
I don't know. Shut up. And
but
so,
either way though, I do want to say 19 years is a long ass time. It does not feel
no,
like a long ass time.
no, it does not. It went by really quickly. I don't understand. It's very confusing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. People tell you it goes by fast, and then you wake up one morning and you're 30 and you're like, ouch, and then everything's sore, and then you close your eyes and you wake up again and you're 40. And I just really feel like people don't accurately depict how that feels, like the whiplash that you legitimately get. But I do think it's really good for us to have this conversation because we're almost at 20 years, right? We're almost at 20 years. We've been in a contiguous relationship for 22 years. I have been in a relationship with you since I was 18 years old. And you were 19, much older.
Much much older. Just way robbing the cradle over here.
Right.
That's me.
That's right.
Um,
Right. That's right. And I think over these years, we've gotten a lot of questions, right, about how we do it. Even in our early years, in the first like 5 years, we had questions. We was like, y'all, we don't know yet. We might don't make it. So like, let us cook. But now I feel like, oh well, we actually kind of in the game. Like we actually kind of we've been out here just as long as like Will and Jada. You know what I'm saying? Like we. We out here with the Bassett Courtney B. Vance community. You know what I'm saying? We out here. We out here. You know what I'm saying?
We're marriage elders, yeah.
We are marriage elders. We're marriage aunties and uncles. So I think it'd be good to have this episode to kind of give some background on how we do it, and especially how we do it through a non-traditional, non-monogamous, non-churchy kind of lens.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, we do get a lot of questions over the years. We've gotten a lot of questions about kind of like how we do it, how we got here, and I'm excited to kind of talk about that a little bit for people, and to share. Like, we didn't have it figured out. Kind of figured things out along the way, and things morphed and things changed. Sneak peek. I mean, it really comes down to the relationship you have with your significant other, right? Like, people, I feel like when I was a kid, everyone said, "Oh, communication is, the bedrock of any good relationship," and I was like, "Yeah, right. What the fuck ever, whatever."
But
Now
it's
I'm like,
true.
they was kind of right. That's kind of
They was spitting. They
at the
was,
end of the day, you got to be able to communicate, and that's kind of everything. That's everything.
yeah.
And so yeah, I'm really excited about this episode because I want to answer some of these questions for people. Honestly,
Okay, that's what we're going to do. In the conversation, we are going to get to not only answering folks' questions, but also giving a full picture of who we are and how we come to this relationship and how we've done it so far.
yeah, let's do it. Let's jump right into the conversation. Let's go.
Oh, snap. Okay. You want to start first? So, okay, so let's start here, right? These last couple episodes, we are reintroducing folks to us because this is now a video podcast, right? And so, for some people who may now just be discovering us, we are 8 seasons in, but they may not be able to go all the way back to season 1, episode 1. So, now folks know that we are a non traditional family and household. So, do you want to start off describing yourself and how you come to the relationship, or would you like me to start off?
You know what? I will go 1st.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure there's a benefit to either one of us going first, but I will go first, and I will say, I would define myself as a monogamous person, meaning that in a romantic type of relationship coupling, I really only want to be with one person, not multiple people. I also define myself I define myself as an asexual person as well, and as cisgender, heterosexual, right? Those are my identities. I think for me, where that brings up a lot of questions for people all the time is that you are polyamorous. And so people are always very confused about how are you a monogamous person in a relationship with a polyamorous person. And we're going to dive into that a lot. But I think, just to touch on it a little bit, what it means for me is the relationship I have with you is the relationship I have with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is my relationship.
Mm-hmm.
What you do in your life, whether it's dating other people or going on trips or going to the pool this weekend, that's your those are other elements of your life, right? And so I don't dictate all of those things, just like you don't dictate if I'm reading comic books this weekend or taking a nap at 4 in the afternoon, right? Those are elements of my life, and that to me is how I define kind of like the monogamous person in a polyamorous relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing I've always loved about it is like, we're both mathy people. And so when I was like, oh my gosh, we're like a parenthesis and a bracket, right? Like the math people will understand that. Like a parenthesis, there is an opportunity for more operations to be multiplied on that side, but the bracket is closed. And I think when you think of it that way, it's like, oh, it's just not that complicated, right?
Right.
And I think, so yes, I'm a polyamorous person, but I'm also what's called a relationship anarchist. Meaning for me, when I have a relationship with someone, whether it's platonic or romantic, it's important to me. It matters to me. So I am just as likely to hop on a plane to go see a best friend as I am to hop on a plane and go see a lover, right? Like, I love you. Here you go.
And
I'm on a plane. I want to come see you, right? Like, I think that what's important in the ways I think that we're describing this to people is that because our relationship started off with us being deeply connected best friends, it was like, well, I got you. Like, no matter what happens, I got you. So, however you show up, I'm gonna have your back. Like, whatever you need, I got you. And so, it was not about a kind of ownership or like a sexual, what's the word I'm looking for that the monogamous people use? Exclusivity, right?
Yeah.
That's a word I never use. But like, I think because we never had this idea that we had to be exclusive in any way, I actually was excited when you would go hang out with friends or when you would go meet other people because I'm like, this is great for you, right? I've always viewed it as if you can go out in the world and meet all these amazing people and you still want to hang out with me, wow, I must be pretty cool, right? And so I think when people are confused about this, it's really because they're still struggling with those kind of logics that come out of like compulsory monogamy. Like this person belongs to you, but not only do they belong to you, their attention belongs to you, their affection belongs to you, their genitals belong to you. Like I remember a few years ago, I was teaching a class about this, and a woman said, "I don't want anybody else touching my penis." And I was like, "You mean the one attached to your husband?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I was like, it was just like, ooh, and I understand theoretically what that means to people, but I don't understand that as a way of life. No.
Well, the thing is, and that's one of the questions that we get a lot. People ask, like, how do you handle sharing your partner? Like, how do you handle that? And it's funny because if I think about me before I met you, before we were in a relationship, I would have totally understood that question. It would have made a lot of sense to me. But since we started our relationship, once we got together, it actually became something I genuinely could not understand and didn't make sense, right? Because part of it is like, I love you and I want you to have a fulfilling life. So the things that fulfill you, I want you to have those things,
Yes,
right? Like you love chocolate cake.
I do.
You love, strawberry shortcake.
I do.
You love terrible, scary movies, right?
Oh man.
It's true. You love good ones too, but you love the terrible ones, right? I want you to have all those things. I want your heart to be full of all those things that fill your heart. That's what I want, right? And the same thing for me. Like, I love candy and I love a lot of sci-fi
And
movies.
you love them snacks.
And I love to snack and I love to eat
Chips, bro.
expensive food
Woo.
and and you want me to have all those things, right? Right, and so to me, the concept of a relationship is the same thing. It's right, like I want you to have the things that fulfill your heart, and if dating 2 people or 10 people or 50 people are if those things are fulfilling for you, I want you to have those things,
Yeah.
right? And I don't see why it would be any different.
Yeah.
And I think, but also I think on the back end of that, and this is the part that I think some people might disagree with, and I might piss some people off.
Yeah.
But realistically, what I think a lot of monogamy is rooted in wanting to feel safe
Yeah.
and wanting to feel secure and not having to question things and kind of having these artificial means of building like your own safe room, right? Like we're in a relationship and you're just with me and your penis is mine and it's not
This is
anyone else's.
mine.
So I don't have to think and I don't have to
Yeah.
worry and I don't
Yeah.
have to be threatened and I don't have to anything because we agreed. And then if you break that trust, then everything's broken. And what
Yeah.
is this relationship anyway, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like a lot of monogamy is just wanting that kind of safety blanket around you. But realistically, and we talked about this before with polyamory, it's just like you said earlier, like you're liable to hop on a plane for a friend or a lover, right? Because these are all people that are important to you that you love and you care about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if someone can be in a monogamous relationship but also have friends,
Mm-hmm.
why can't they be in a polyamorous relationship, right? Like
Yeah.
what's the difference that makes you feel like now we've crossed some kind of boundary and now I feel threatened and now I don't feel secure in this relationship that I'm in. I think that's the thing that I always want to challenge people with when they think about polyamory?
And I mean, we know the answer, right? The difference is compulsory monogamy. Compulsory monogamy is what we learn as children that says, like, one day you'll meet someone and they'll be your other half and they'll complete you. So you walk around your whole life being incomplete, like you're a fraction of a human. And then one day someone other fraction fits in and like, ta-da, and you're a whole person now. And that's just weird to me. I always thought that was so weird. Like, how do you teach children confidence and young people to believe in themselves when you're telling them that there's somebody else, only one single person out there who's actually going to be the other part of them that will make them a whole person? I'm like, this is nuts. Like, it never made sense to me. And I think, to your point, right, I always thought to myself, like, well, I love my cousins. Like, I think my cousins are incredible and brilliant. And, like, I love my best friends. And, I would be sometimes attracted to people, but they were never that interesting to me. And I was always like, wow, but my friends are so much cooler than these people, And I think this idea that we have to find our completion in this other person that we are sleeping with is what makes people settle. And they forego healthy platonic relationships, and they forgo building these beautiful, like, comprehensive companionship environments and ecosystems where they could have beautiful, fulfilling, lifelong partnerships with people who they're not sleeping with. Like, my best friends, I don't think I could. You and I, we're best friends. We started off as best friends, and I mean completely innocent, like just playing video games, and nobody believed us. But I thought I was gay. So I was like, and I thought you were gay. I knew you were asexual, but I was like, maybe he's gay too. And I was like, cool, I found a gay friend. I was like, thank you, God, found a friend, right? But, it turned romantic, and we were like, cool, we're going to go with it, right? But, like, I think if we had have been in that mindset of, like, this has to be the person who fits me and blah, blah, we never would have got together. Because we didn't follow any of the rules. If we were looking for that, like, ooh, sexual passion, blah, 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 we had to build to that, because neither of us is that kind of person. Like, neither of us is like someone who sees someone as like, well, that's going to be the person I'm going to have be hunching on for the next, I don't know. Like, I don't know how it works for the other people. I don't know. I don't know what they say. Like, I don't know what the straight people and the monogamous people say. But, like, for me, it takes a lot for me to even feel safe with someone to want to be romantic with them. But what I also hear in this conversation is a part of another question that we get around, like, how we use our time, right? And I think this is where I have to always remind people, we do not all have the same time in one day. Like, this whole idea, like, oh, we have the same number of hours in a day. That's a lie. That's bullshit. That's fucking bullshit. It's a lie, right? Like, Kim Kardashian and Beyonce have different time than we do. And then Gwyneth Paltrow has even different time from them bitches, right? Like, these wealthy people who can just pay someone to watch their children and feed their puppies and make their food and shop for all their clothes. All they have to do worry about is, like, existing in their skin and eating and sleeping. No, they're different. But the rest of us, right? Like, I do also think that we have different orientations to time. I am neurodivergent. I think that my orientation to time is a little pedantic.
A little bit.
A little intense, I am the 75 calendar, 85 email inbox, everything has to be planned or it doesn't exist person, right? But I also am a person who is really intense about how I spend my time with people, right? If I say I'm going to come spend time with you, that means you have my undivided attention. You will feel like you are the only person in the world for that period of time. Like, that's just how it works. And that might be like a ADHD autism spectrum, but it means if I say I'm coming to spend time with you, I'm coming to spend time with you. Whatever you want to do, we finna do it. And I think that's part of the thing that makes me more oriented to polyamory, because I am able to, I think my body naturally compartmentalizes all of my connections, whether they be professional, platonic, relationship wise, romantic, whatever it is. My body is naturally doing this kind of like filing system of of connecting. And so when people go, oh my gosh, like, you have to be neglecting somebody and somebody has to feel left out, that's just not true.
It's
It's
not.
not true because I'm not out here dating 7 people. I'm not out here courting 45 people. At most, if I'm getting to know people, it's no more than 2 people at a time, right? I'm not inconsiderate. I'm not going to. We have things called saturation, right? Saturation is when, and people who do social science research will hear saturation and think interviews, right? Interviews are, we call them saturated when you start doing interviews and you start hearing the same results over and over again. In polyamory, saturation is, okay, I have started dating and now I feel like I'm at my capacity, right? And I think I did that once in like 2019. I had 3 partners in addition to you, and I was like, enough, right? I
It's
was
too much.
like,
Yeah.
I said, oh, some of y'all gotta back out. You know what I'm saying? Like some of y'all gotta, and that was my point of saturation. So I also want people to understand that, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, right? Ethical non-monogamy has an umbrella, right? But the key to ethical non-monogamy is the ethical part, right? Ethicality means I am treating these people in ways that is conversant with who they are. We are interdependent. This is not abuse. This is not harm. People are able to move in and out of agreements without any punishment or retribution or retaliation, right? It also means that there are some forms of ethical non-monogamy that are not relationship, are anarchy, and are not polyamory, right? Polyamory means I actually love these people. I love them. I love
Right.
them. They matter, right? I'm not swinging, which is no shade to anybody. That's their own way of connecting. Swinging is often kind of a sexual relationship that is just meant to kind of, as it sounds like, pendulum swing back and forth. They have lots of different terms for people who maybe they just go couple with people while they're on trips, while they're traveling abroad, right? There's people who are monogamous, whatever that is, right? There's a lot of different versions of this, but relationship anarchists and polyamorous intersect at this point where it's like, these are people who I am treating justly. These are folks who I want to have in my life in the long term, whether it be for a season or whether it be forever, right? These are people who I'm going to have commitments with, who I may have children with, people who I want to start businesses with, have what we call entanglements with. And so, this idea that all polyamory is the same, I think, is sometimes the root of those questions, right? That when you see people who just doing random shit, because some folks ain't ethical, they just fucking. And that's not polyamory. We have to stop calling everything polyamory. Not all of it is. But the ones who are really trying, I think, to be ethical and to move justly with respect to one another, a lot of us are able to manage our time because it matters to us how we treat our partners and the people who we care about.
Right. And I think honestly, bringing that back to the question of like how do you manage your time, right? Like you said, a big part of polyamory is, especially ethical non monogamy, I should say, is really all about communication. Like I said before, right? And you said it's about treating all of the people in your life equitably, right?
Yeah,
But I want to be clear in saying that nobody's perfect, right?
of course.
Like you are always trying your best to be equitable to everyone.
Hmm.
Are there times where I've probably felt like I wasn't getting the stuff that I wanted or needed or should have or blah 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 whatever? Right?
Yeah.
Yes, there have been. There 100% have been times.
Huh?
I know there are times when other partners and people in your life have felt the exact same way, that they felt like they weren't getting enough of you and
Yeah.
they wanted more, or
Yeah.
why is this person getting that and I'm not getting that, right? But that's why that communication is so important. And I think that's also kind of what has built our relationship and made it so strong, and why I say communication is so important, because part of being in the relationship is
Yeah.
being able to feel safe and secure enough to go to your partner and say, "Hey, you ain't been showing up. You've been MIA. I miss you. I need you more.
Mm-hmm.
This is really difficult.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going through a tough time. Can you kind of pitch in a little bit more?" Right? That is so important. Number one, in making sure that you do have that equilibrium and being
Yeah.
able to adjust as appropriate,
Yeah.
but also being able to have that level of vulnerability with your partner, right? To be able to say, "Hey, I'm having a hard time.
Yeah.
I need you a little bit more. Maybe you've been treating everyone, at the same level. Can you dial mine up and dial something
Right.
else down for a
Right.
moment, right?"
Right.
And being able to have that discussion, and again, not that it's going to be rainbows and flowers and it's going to be like, sure, we'll just do whatever, right? There's conflict in that.
That's
There's
right.
times where you might be able to say,
That's
I
right.
can't right now, or that's going to be really hard for me, or I'm overwhelmed too, right? Because that's what life is,
Mm-hmm.
right? But again, that's why it comes back to the conversation, because there's a meeting there. There's a connecting there. There's
Yeah.
a understanding there. And
Yeah.
knowing that if I communicate with you, that I'll be heard, and if you communicate with me, I'll be heard.
Yeah.
Even if in the end we don't get necessarily everything that we wanted, that connection is the part that is the most important. And so that's why when it comes to time, right? Like you might go, I mean, you had a partner in Maryland and we lived in upstate New York, right? So there were times you were going down to Maryland for weekends at a time, maybe
Mm-hmm.
half the weekends out of a month, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm here in upstate New York with 3 kids. We got a whole lot. We got this podcast. I got a job. You got a job. There's a million things going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to communicate through those things
Mm-hmm.
to make sure we're managing everything appropriately, making sure
Mm-hmm.
everyone gets fed,
Yes.
right? And that when it comes to spending time, right? I'm cool with you going and being gone for a
Yeah.
minute. I'm cool with you going to a conference. I'm cool with you going to visit somebody, right? As long as we are managing
That's right.
and preparing beforehand.
That's right.
And I
That's
think
right.
that's the thing that I think even outside of polyamory, but just our lives in general, where they see like 10 million things going on, and like, how do you do that? It's like, well, what's happening this month in May, we talked about in March.
That's right.
We planned it out in March.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, well, if you're going there, then I need to do this, and I need to block out this time on my calendar, and this needs.
Mm-hmm.
We've set that stuff in motion months in advance.
Mm-hmm.
So when it gets here, it's not scramble, scramble, scramble,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you talk about like managing time, that's how we manage time. We plan it.
That's right.
We 100% plan
That's
it.
right. And I think so. Two things. I think you spot on, and I think also what is important is that, especially since you are a monogamous person, it's to me only fair that you also get spaces where you get to go do things for yourself, by yourself, with whomever or whatever it is that you want to do. Like, I know, you're an introvert, so it's hard to get you out the house. But like, am I gonna kick you out the door? Yeah, sure, I am. Right? Like, I get so close as to almost booking the trip for your ass, right? Like, because I'm like, if I'm gonna go and do this thing for 4 weekends or whatever out of the month, I'm gonna make sure that you take some time off of work and you go to a writing retreat, or maybe I found something. I'm like, here's a link. Maybe you should apply, right? Like, that's to me the other part of being ethical, right? The other part, and this is the second part of what I'm gonna say. I think ethical. People think ethical. It irritates me because whenever I bring this up online, people go, "Oh, well, this person, agreed, right?" I hate that that is the only standard that people use for ethicality, right? We agree to all kind of shit. We agree to all kind of shit for fear of losing people. We agree to things that we're settling for because, we've never done anything different, right? Sometimes we have to offer people an opportunity to do something that they would not typically agree to because it's better than what they would,
Yep.
right? There are things that people will agree to that's beneath what they deserve. And so with you in particular, right? Like, you be up in the house, and like one of the things was like, you want to go get a master's degree, and it was like, where are you gonna go? And then it was like, well, you got to go here for 2 years and hop on a train, and we're gonna not see you for a few years. Okay, I'm gonna cry. Bye bye. Right? I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. But don't worry about me. I'm a big girl. I can do this. Right? Like, because it's unethical to me for me to do anything that does not allow you to move fully in your body in the way that you need to show up for who you want to be, right? And that's why I don't think everybody need to be out here dating. And I don't think everybody need to be out here doing no polyamory, right?
Yep.
Because if you cannot show up ethically, don't bother nobody. Don't bother them, right? Like, I didn't date for 10 years because my shit wasn't together. I was like, I need to figure some shit out. I'm going to just chill. I don't want to get nobody else wrapped up in my bullshit because I'm not ready to be a good person for anybody else. And I just wish, I'm not saying that people should be lonely and sad. You know what I'm saying? I still had beautiful relationships. I still, I had you in my life. I had things I was working through, but I did not engage in a polyamorous, like fully polyamorous lifestyle because I wasn't ready.
Yeah. It would not have worked. It would
It
not
would
have
not have
gone well.
worked. It would
And
not have
really,
worked.
that's why I appreciate people who say like, I'm dating non-seriously, right? if you can be open and honest and say, hey, I want to date, I want to have fun, I want to, hang out with you, go to the
Hmm.
restaurant, go on a trip, maybe do all these things, but I do not want this
I
to be a
can't show
serious
up in this
thing. I'm
way.
not a place in my life. Like, you give people the option to opt in or out,
I love that.
right? And I sometimes I think we look at people like that and they're like, oh my god, why don't they need to get their life together? Why can't look? Well, some people ain't there yet, and it's okay that they're not there yet. And as long as they're aware of the fact that they're not there yet, and they're entering into the world saying, I don't want to do harm, so
Yes.
I'm going to let you know that I'm not there yet. So
Listen,
if
I
you are
love
looking
that.
for that, don't look over here because that's not me,
Listen,
right? That is also ethical,
it is.
right?
Give me a rose sign, please. Please
Yeah,
tell me what's coming. I love that. Oh, you're not ready? Me either. Thank you. Because the last thing I need is for you to waste my time.
right.
Okay. We have to talk about jealousy, though. I know that this is
Yeah.
foreign to us because we don't really have that. But
Well, I mean, the jealousy thing, I feel like I kind of touched on that already, right? Where I
yeah.
said, like, I want your heart to be full, you want my heart to be full, right?
Hmm.
So, like, it's the concept of compersion. That's something that's very, popular.
Person?
It's very popular in polyamorous circles, but it's when you get gratification from your partner being gratified,
Hmm.
right? So when you go to a conference and you're like, "Ooh, I went to this plenary and ooh, they was talking about," and do I give a shit what they're talking about? Likely
Shut
not.
up.
It's likely not something that like feeds my soul, right? But I'm gratified. I am very gratified that you are living your best life, right? You are getting your fill of everything,
I love a
and
good
just
plenary, okay?
but just like when I was getting my MFA, I'd go to class. It'd be like 10 o'clock. I'm like, oh my god, I just got out this class, and we talked about character structure and plot lines,
Yes, you
and
did.
you were like, okay. I'm glad you had a great class. It's just like you wanted that for me. I
Yes,
wanted that for you,
I
right? And
did.
that to me is why like the jealousy doesn't really come in
Yeah.
because also because of planning, right? Like
Oh my God, I'm crying.
if we're being ethical, right? If we're being open and honest, and we're talking about things that are going on in your lives, and you're talking about someone that you're interested in, and that you want to go on a date, and you go on a date, and you have this, and then you right, like if I'm looped in, right, and we're talking about things as things are happening, it becomes very difficult for me to be jealous,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you say like, I want to go on this trip to Japan with my new boo, and I want to go to Japan, right? It's one thing for me to sit here and go, damn, fuck, I want to go to Japan too. Fuck that bitch. Why they going to Japan? I'm not going
Fuck
to
that
Japan,
hoe.
right? But that's not what I would do. I would say, damn, that sounds great. I want y'all to go have
But
this
see,
great Japan trip,
no, no,
find out all the good spots where
no.
the good food
Stop
is.
lying. Stop lying because every partner loves you more than they love me, and they would invite your ass first.
They probably would. They probably would.
They would invite your ass first. You would know about the damn trip before me.
But I'm just saying that's what I would do. I'm like, oh y'all going? Cool. Scout it out for me. When y'all figure out all the good spots where the good food is, where the right place to
You're
stay,
always more
we'll
popular
plan
than
our
me.
own trip.
We should talk about that shit. Let's talk about that shit. Why are you always more popular with the partners than with me than I am?
I know why. We know why. We know why. Because to be honest, every time you get a partner, everyone is scared of me. They're like, oh my god, Jenna's been married to this dude for a long time. They got kids. They built a whole life together. Oh my God, they're gonna hate me. They're gonna be jealous. They're gonna be doing underhanded things to me. And then they come in, and I'm like, "Hey, how are you? You want some? Look,
We made
I
burrito
made a
tacos. You
taco tonight. You
want
want
some?
some?"
Yeah. And they're like, bitch, where's the jig? Is the jig up? What?
And then sooner or later, they're like, "Dang, I'm having trouble understanding Jen. Can you help me?" I'm like, "Sure. Let me give you the cheat codes to understand." That's why I make things easier for them.
My God. Oh my God. I don't think it's fair anyway, but yes, I agree. I think jealousy, for me, I will be honest, when I think back to when I felt jealousy, it was only when I was ever dating men. And it was often because I was following the monogamous heteronormative rules around like not being able to say things and having to compete with other women and are my titties big enough, is my ass fat enough. But since I started dating women exclusively, I have not felt a lick of jealousy, and I think that's interesting. Like, I think that's really, really interesting. um Yeah, when I think back to, I can think very clearly about two instances where I felt jealousy, and they were just with men.
Well, and I think it's because you are living your life the way you want to live it, right? And so it's hard to be jealous when you are fulfilled and you're getting the things that you need and you're going after the things that you want and you're not being led by whatever society
Yeah,
says. Because I think the same thing. I think the times that I felt jealousy definitely were earlier on in our relationship
yeah,
where it was like our relationship is supposed to be like this and it's not like that.
yeah,
What's wrong? And then I see
yeah.
someone else and they got it. I'm like, ooh, why don't I have
And
that?
honestly, it's the comparison, right?
Yeah,
It's the comparison. And I think it's that a lot of men, even in polyamory, right, still subscribe to this kind of comparison. Like women have to compete for their affection, like women are objects, they're playthings, and they're collecting them like Pokemon or like Pogs, And so I do think that there's a different gendered conversation around polyamory that we don't really have to engage with because you are not dating other women and you're not a shithead.
true. I'll take it. I'll be the
You're
unicorn. That's fine.
Go ahead. You ready to reflect? Because I think we did that. I think we did that.
You know what? I do want to jump into the reflection,
Let's do it.
because we've talked about our relationship and how it works and answer all these questions. But the one question, without a doubt, that we get the most is, okay, I'm interested in polyamory. It sounds like something I want to do.
Yeah.
It sounds great, but what do I do? How do I do that? What
Yeah.
what if what if my partners get mad? What if I this? How do I do this? Right? Like,
Yeah.
and some people are like, so give me the directions and the guidance, right? Like how do I move into that type of a lifestyle? What would you say?
Well, listen, you know how I am. I teach this, right? I teach this. I give trainings on this. Like, first, I have to always tell people I'm going to give y'all three tips because I always start with three. The first one is like, please understand that polyamory is not a lifestyle. It's not a lifestyle, right? And I want to give a clear explanation as why it's different from a lifestyle. Lifestyles and love styles are different. A lifestyle, and also being gay is not a lifestyle, right? This whole lifestyle is I decided to move onto a yacht, right? Lifestyle is I prefer colonial homes. Lifestyle is do I like urban or suburban ecosystems, right? Or climates. Like that's a lifestyle, right? Um, how you love people is a love style, and that comes from inside, right? And so this is something that people have to assess in their own body, what makes them feel good, what makes them recoil, right? What makes them feel safe. And for me, right, at 15 I could understand myself to be a non-monogamous person because monogamy did not make sense to me. I was like, wait, I like a boy at school and a boy at church, and I'm not allowed to date them both. And people told me I should keep it a secret, and that's the only way I could date them both. But if I tell them about each other, then I can't date either one of them. That's weird. Like it didn't. So me being honest is the problem, and it never made sense to me. And I said, "Oh, this monogamy shit is not for me because what y'all want me to do is lie."
Right.
And I can't do that, right? That's not a lifestyle. That is a love style, meaning your body loves a particular kind of way, right? When people are thinking about, that's the first thing. The second thing is when people are thinking about if they want to be careful with this, right? Open their marriage, right? That's dangerous, right? Because that means you were never polyamorous before. So you can't jump to polyamorous. You got to start with ethical non-monogamy and see how that feels, right? Open relationships are different from polyamorous relationships, are different from relationship anarchy, right? And so you have to deal with the growing pains of having a open relationship, meaning there may be someone in the relationship who doesn't feel comfortable, who doesn't feel safe, and you may have to dial it back, right? When we were first thinking about what it would look like for me to be openly polyamorous, we had a lot of conversations like, how do you feel? Is this okay if I start dating? If I date, how frequently? How do you want this dating to look? And I made sure that I did that in agreement with you because how you felt mattered to me until you felt comfortable and safe. I'm not dating. I'm not having a partner. It's not happening, right? Like it's weird to me where people It's different if someone says, fuck that shit, no, versus I'm working on it. I need to sit with it. I'm willing to, like, let's work through this, right? If someone says, fuck that shit, no, y'all might not be compatible, right? But if someone's like, I don't feel safe, that's someone who's asking you not to pull the rug out from underneath their feet,
Right.
right? And I think that's valid. The last thing I'll say is, like, I think that I really want people to do more research and more reading. Like, I just want people to read the books, right? Like, More Than Two is a fantastic book, right? There's a ton of incredible books about ethical polyamory and what it looks like ethical non-monogamy and what it looks like. There's tons of online resources, right? Like, don't just be out here dating random people, trying to find a unicorn. It's not going to fix your relationship. If your relationship if the sex is bad or you don't like your boo, putting another person's genitals in it is not going to fix it.
No.
I want the straight couples to stop throwing in more vaginas and penises.
But that's one of my big things I would say for anyone who's like interested or thinking about polyamory, right? Is like, first ask yourself why. Why are you interested? Is it because your relationship isn't going well? Is it because you want to spice things up? Is it because you're getting bored with your partner? Is it because everything's great in your relationship, but you just are interested in dating other people?
Good
Like,
reason. The only good reason you mentioned just now was that last one.
right? Like there's a lot of reasons why people get into polyamory. There's definitely a long list of bad ones. Right?
Long.
It's a long list, and I can tell you every time I hear someone had a bad reason, it never ends well.
It never ends well.
Right? Because the reason they're doing it is not a good reason, right? What the reason is leading them, it should not lead them to polyamory. It should lead them to something else.
Yes.
It should lead them to couples therapy. It should lead them to a separation or a divorce. It should lead them like it could lead you a lot of other ways too. It doesn't have polyamory. To me, is not something you say, well, let's try this and see if that's the thing. No, that's not.
Child, and when they try to make a woman the spice, it makes me so angry. It makes me, and then the secretive, like, unicorn hunting. I don't know. I don't want to talk about that right now. It's just triggering. I hate being unicorn hunted. I hate when I'm hunted because I'm not a unicorn. Please leave me out of that bullshit. Out of your fuckery. Straight couples, leave us out of your fuckery.
But I will say the other thing that I would say to someone interested in polyamory would be, and this goes back to kind of what we talked about, is get your house in order.
Ooh, child.
Get your house in order, right? I'm not saying you got to be independently wealthy and have done all the therapy to where you are a perfect person and you don't have any issues or hangups.
Yeah.
But at least get your house in order to where you understand who you are, you understand what you like and what you don't like, you understand, and you're mature enough to have adult conversations
Yes.
with people, right? Open and honest adult conversations. If there are kids involved, make sure you're in a place that you can have really clear communication and understanding with your kids as well, so that they're not lost and confused about what's going on, right? Like, I guess at the end of what I'm saying is be a whole adult.
Be a grown up.
Be a whole grown ass adult.
If you're gonna push against if you're gonna push against some stereotypes and some structures and some systems, have your shit together.
Yeah, that's all. That's all. Because like I said, if you don't, shambles.
And if you don't have your shit together, don't bring no kids up in that mess. Don't bring nobody else's siblings and no wives or no husbands and don't bring nobody else in your mess.
And a better act of that is, as we've said it a number of times, is honesty, right? Like I just said, honesty with your kids if you have kids. Yes. Honesty with any and all partners that you have about what?
Honesty with yourself.
And honesty with yourself, yes. Big one.
Biggest one.
Because sometimes you'll be in a relationship with someone and that ain't it. It's not the right one. And you gotta be able to tell yourself, this is not working, I need to step away.
I've done it for years. Oof. I'm thinking about it right now.
There have been times you've been in relationships and you're like, I'm trying to make it work.
I'm sure you can think about what I'm thinking about.
Oh, I know exactly what you think about. Because here's the other thing. As your partner, and you're in these polyamorous relationships, right? I also have to be honest with you. I have to be honest with you and say, not so sure about this one. It's not looking good. I don't. What's that over there? That don't look right. That don't look like something that you enjoy. Look over there. But that's what I'm saying. Honesty is the bedrock of all of that. Because when you are polyamorous, right, inevitably your life is now more complex and more complicated.
That's right. That's
and
right.
so if you don't have honesty as a foundation and all of that,
yeah, you're screwed.
it's not. It's just gonna fall apart.
Agreed.